Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's TheSketchMonkey here. Acura has just dropped their 2022 MDX SUV. In this video, we're going to talk about some of the spec and tech. And then I wanted to make a video on this because the upgraded design from the previous generation is pretty cool to compare to the older one, because there is a lot of changes going on that are subtle but that makes a huge difference. So I'm going to talk about the front view, the side view, and the rear view. But first of all, let's talk about what this 2022 MDX is and what you get for the money, and of course, how much does it cost? Well, we saw the 2022 MDX prototype just this past October, and today I'm going to show you the production version, talk about some of the spec and tech, and of course let you know my thoughts on this design here. The new 3-row MDX will go on sale in the US in early 2021, and it has grown in all kinds of directions. It's larger, it's better equipped, and a little more expensive, which you kind of could see coming when you look at this design here. The standard model includes the A spec, the technology, and the advanced packages, with the top of the line Type S variant arriving a little later next year in 2021. What about the price then? How much do you have to pay? How much more do you have to pay for the 2022 MDX compared to the older one? Well, this starts at $47,927, and that is about $2,400 up from the previous generation, and it shares the same old 3.5 liter V6 engine with 290 horsepower and 267 pound-feet of torque, but now with an additional gear, so you get a 10-speed automatic instead of a 9-speed. I wonder how much of a difference that final little 10-speed is going to add to the performance or whatever of this car. Front-wheel drive is standard on the MDX here, with all-wheel drive being a $2,000 option. However, it comes standard on the A-spec trim, for example, and the loaded model with the advanced package. Those have all-wheel drive as standard. So yes, it is a bit more expensive than the old MDX, but it's also, you also get a lot more car. And more important to me, you get a lot better design, which we'll talk about in just a minute here. The 2022 MDX is longer, wider, and has a 2-inch longer wheelbase, and it can fit up to 7 people with comfort. You can bring the entire family in this car. Acura has yet to release the pricing for the Type S model, which comes with all-wheel drive as standard, a turbocharged 3-liter V6 engine with 355 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque, and performance tires and brakes. However, as mentioned before, the base 2022 Acura MDX will cost you $47,927, with the fully loaded trim level setting you back $61,675. The standard 2022 MDX is scheduled to go on sale here in the States early 2021, with the Type S set to follow in the summer. And with that said, let's jump into Photoshop and let's talk about the fun stuff here. Let's talk about the design. So the 2022 MDX, to me, has grown up in all kinds of ways, and it looks like such a more confident design than the old MDX. It's like, you see the old MDX down here, it looks like a first-year car design student project, and then you go here and it looks like it's been designed by someone with a decade of car design experience. And the reason for that mainly is the line flow and proportions. It's really that simple. I talk about it all the time, but it makes a huge difference, especially here. This is a perfect example of line flow and proportions in a car just that is just separated by one generation. So the thing with the older generation here, if we look at this design here, you can see that it doesn't, the pieces or the graphics in the car here, they don't connect well with each other. Here, for example, we have this is what I'm talking about. It's details, but these details, maybe I know in your subconscious it gives you an impression, and that impression is either a good design or a bad or a normal design, or it doesn't give you any sort of emotion. And the reason for that I don't get any emotion from this car here is that we have a very stylized, look at this, a cool looking headlight here, very Acura, and same with the grille here, a very typical Acura grille down here. But then if we look at the lower half of the front end, we have a very squarish design right here with this intake in the bottom and the graphics here just being completely disconnected to the top half. So we have one half right here with a lot of curvatures, a lot of stylized features of the car, and then we look at the bottom here and it becomes a different type of style. So you have a lot of boxiness, a lot of sharp corners, and 90-degree angles, and those two, they don't play well together. Another thing that I'm going to show you later in the side view is the huge difference. A tiny change but a big impact on the car is this area right here, and how the A-pillar connects to the hood. I'm going to show you that in side view, and how a simple change just makes the new 2022 MDX, it looks a lot more luxurious and a lot more glamorous and elegant by just doing this tiny change I'm going to show you in a minute here. And then you have, look at this line right here, you have this chamfer right here. Typical, you have that on pretty much every single car today, but it crashes into this point right here. You have the line right here, and then it crashes into the middle of this trim. So there is no continuity here in the line flow of the car. So it makes the car a mess. I've never been a fan of this generation Acura just for these simple reasons here. It's just not a beautiful car. It's not a beautiful car when it comes to proportions, and it's not a beautiful car when it comes to line flow and graphics of the car. But with that said, what Acura did with the 2022 MDX here is pretty much fix every single thing that I just talked about here. So look at the line flow here in the beautiful, it's actually a beautiful Acura here, and I never thought I would say that, because to me Acura has never been this emotional brand, but this looks fantastic. First of all, you have a very sharp, distinct, confident shoulder line that goes into all of these graphics right here. The top of the headlights, the top of the grille, and it just wraps around in the back as well, which I'm gonna show you later in the video. And then look at this part right here. This is totally uninspiring, this design down here, but here it gets more defined. It gets a purpose, and it also goes into now a feature in the front bumper as well, and it doesn't just crash into the 50% height of this graphic right here, which doesn't make sense, and it loses all the dynamics when you do something like this in a car design. But the 2022 MDX get this right, and not just that. So I was trying to find lines that don't have a flow or doesn't connect anywhere in the MDX series for the 2022 model, and I was struggling to find a single line that does that. However, in the end of this video, I'm going to show you the one line that doesn't seem to have a friend when it comes to connecting to another line that is a continuation of that line anywhere rest of the car. It's just one single line in the front, and if you see my videos before, you might be able to figure out what line in the front here that would be, but I'm gonna redesign that. In the end, it might help it, but it's such a little detail that I really don't care about that, because this is such a well designed if I just disregard that little detail. But let's continue here with the line flow. So we have this graphic right here as well, very beautifully done, and it goes into this part right here of the headlight, creating a nice line flow, and then into the bottom part here, and then of course the same on the other side there. And then we have this bumper here with this line that goes down here and then continues into this same graphic in the side, which then also wraps around into the rear end here. And it's not just about the line flow of the car here. What also is a huge difference compared to the previous model is just the confidence in the face of the car. We have a smaller grille here, quite big headlights. It makes it look weak. It makes it look like almost like a cartoonish with weird proportions of the graphics in the front. Here though, it adds a statement. It has narrower headlights like this and a larger grille with the identity of Acura, which is the design of the grille, taking up a much larger space than it does here. It's also a lot more dynamic because everything has been shrunk down this way, so the height of the front graphics is now a lot thinner, and it makes the car, of course, then look wider. So let's have a look at the car here now from a side view. So what I want to talk about here is, as I said, this particular area right here. So look at how this dips down into the hood here. Usually what happens when you have this size of SUV, you have a very smooth transition here. It looks almost like it's a single curvature that goes into the hood and then into the A-pillar. There's no distinct end point, and then there's no sharp corner down here, and then the hood continues forward like that. It's like it's almost one single unit where you have one single smooth line connecting these two the greenhouse, and then you have the hood right here. But one way to add some luxury and some elegance and some volume to a car without actually making it bigger is to do what they did here. So here you can see that the shoulder line is very strong here, and also this line here, this connection here, is now more of an A-pillar crashing into the hood instead of having it be this soft integration into the hood, which we see on smaller SUVs, and which of course makes the car then look smaller than what it is. And that's what happened here on the old MDX. Another thing I want to talk about here is the C-pillar. So look, or the D-pillar actually, right here in the back. So have a look at how this dips down. This reminds me of the Honda CR-V when it dips down like that. So they changed it, so now it dips up. It goes up here, and this creates a more sporty look. And on top of that, you have this same line down here in the body of the car. On the old one, it goes to this point, to this height from the ground up. This has now been raised up to this point right here, as you can see, and this also gives it more of an SUV look and less of a sort of a minivan look when you have the bumper sitting this low as it does on the MDX. And that's another thing that I didn't like about the MDX. It looks too much like a minivan because it has this hanging rear end that almost looks like it's about to fall off the rear. It doesn't have a lift in the rear, and here they fixed that issue as well. And that, on top of the change of the lower part of the greenhouse, it makes a huge difference for the dynamics of the side view and the sportiness, and separating it more from being a minivan and into a sporty looking gorgeous SUV. So now, last but not least, let's have a look at the rear view here. Same thing here. You can see that the bumper here, it sits so much higher than it does on the older one, and it makes a huge difference. It sits up here instead of down here. Who cannot like a quad exhaust? Even though it's on the way out now with the hybridization and electrification of cars, I still love a simple setup of 4 round tailpipes just like that. This is the Type S version. It's not gonna look like that on the stock version, but it looks a hell of a lot better than this part down here. And you can see just how much they simplified the design here. You can see that we have just a few lines here. We have 1, 2, and 3 key lines. And if you look at the old one right here, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. So this has been removed, and this unnecessary styling lines has also been removed to create this a lot cleaner looking design. And also you can see how much of a difference this up angle now has compared to this slope that we have here on the old MDX. So this up line in combination with a higher sitting bumper, it just creates a lot more sportier design, and I think that's what Acura wants the MDX to be. It doesn't want it to be a minivan. As I said in the beginning of this design talk here, there is just one single line in the front. It's just a detail, but I want to bring it up just because it is the only line that I can't really find a connection with somewhere else on the car, and that line is this line right here that goes from this corner into this point right here. And if I follow this anywhere around the car, it doesn't have a friend to connect with anywhere on the car like pretty much every other line on the front end had. So what I want to do, what I want to try and play around with here really quickly is to, what if we had this line right here connecting into the headlight. So the headlight, the LED of the headlight goes something like this instead of having it go into basically nothing here. If we were to do that, we pretty much have a front end where you can't find a single line that doesn't have some sort of line flow or continuity to it. So what I'm gonna do is just really quickly here duplicate this layer and see what we come up with, and then I'm gonna show you the before and after. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. The only way to find out is to try it. So here we go. Right, so that's my quick little change to the front end of the MDX. So here we have the after and the before, and I have to say I actually prefer the before, because sometimes even if you have tiny small imperfections in a design, it makes it more beautiful, just like Uma Thurman's face. It's something artsy about it. And perfection isn't actually beautiful because there's nothing that is interesting about a perfect face, if that makes sense. Now, I know you've been wondering, where did he get that awesome looking Doodle E30 t-shirt? This one right here. Well, wonder no more. You can go and get it down below in my shop. And it's not one of these saggy, low quality t-shirts. This is high quality and it will last you a very, very long time. So if you're interested in checking these out, or the hats, go and check them out in my shop down below. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to Acura for fixing the MDX in this beautiful way. I'm the Sketch Monkey. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.